Karen had done a lot of crazy things over the years, but this was next level insanity. Welcome to Logan's Stories. Before we begin, drop a like on the video and subscribe so we can continue making videos like this one. It all started when I woke up to the sound of screeching tires and metal chains clanking outside my window. I groggily pulled myself out of bed, thinking it was just another garbage pickup day. But when I stepped outside, my car was gone. Not just mine, half the street was empty. I turned just in time to see another tow truck hooking up my neighbor's sedan, the flashing orange lights cutting through the early morning mist. People were running outside in their pajamas, shouting and demanding answers, but the drivers didn't even acknowledge them. And there, standing smugly on the sidewalk, was Karen, arms crossed, clipboard in hand, watching the chaos unfold like she had personally orchestrated it. I stormed up to her. "Karen, what the hell is going on?" She barely glanced at me, just gave me that usual self-satisfied smirk. "Good morning. Just a little community cleanup initiative. Some of you have been violating the new overnight parking restrictions, and we simply can't have that." My jaw clenched. Overnight parking restrictions? That was never a rule. She tilted her head dramatically, tapping her clipboard. "It was passed in an emergency HOA board meeting last night. We determined that cars parked overnight outside of driveways ruined the neighborhood's aesthetic, so we enforced it immediately." I could feel my pulse pounding in my ears. "Karen, you can't just tow people's cars without notice. That's illegal." She grinned. "Actually, it's not. All residents signed an agreement stating they would comply with all HOA regulations, including new ones enacted to maintain community standards." "You agreed to this the day you bought your home." I wanted to strangle her. Across the street, my elderly neighbor, Mr. Peterson, was nearly in tears watching the tow truck drag away his 1965 classic Mustang, a car he had restored with his late son. Another neighbor, the Rodriguezes, were frantically calling the towing company, demanding answers. "Where are they taking our cars?" someone shouted. Karen let out an exaggerated sigh, as if all this drama was inconveniencing her. "The company I contracted is taking them to an impound lot 2 towns over. You can retrieve them after paying the necessary fees, which, by the way, have been pre-approved by the HOA. You're extorting people." I snapped. "This is theft." She laughed. "Oh, don't be so dramatic. This is simply community enforcement. If people can't follow the rules, they face the consequences." That's when a voice cut through the crowd. "Where's my car?" The street fell dead silent. Karen's smirk faltered just a little as we all turned to see a man in an expensive navy suit standing near the curb, arms folded, his face pure fury. I'd never seen him before, but something about the way Karen suddenly stiffened told me she knew exactly who he was. "And you are?" Karen asked, trying to regain her composure. The man stepped forward, his presence immediately commanding attention. "I'm David Lawson, the district attorney of this county," he said, his voice dangerously calm. "And my car was just towed." Karen blinked. For the first time ever, she looked genuinely nervous. The entire street was dead silent, everyone watching with wide eyes as realization dawned on Karen's face. "Mr. Lawson," she started, forcing a tight smile. "I assure you, this is just a standard HOA matter." "I don't think so," he interrupted, pulling out his phone. "Because what you just did violates multiple state laws." Karen's face drained of color. "You enacted a rule overnight with no notice, no public record, and no approval from the county. Then you had a private towing company illegally remove personal property from public access roads." Karen opened her mouth, but nothing came out. "You're looking at civil liability, criminal charges, and a full-scale investigation into how this HOA has been operating," Lawson continued, completely unshaken. "And since my vehicle is county property, you may have just committed a felony." Karen staggered back. I was just enforcing community standards." "Community standards don't override the law," he snapped. "And if you think you can just rewrite rules to scam homeowners, you're in for a very rude awakening." Karen's composure was shattering by the second. The neighborhood, once terrified of her, was starting to smile. People were whispering. Others were pulling out their phones to record. So here's what's going to happen, the DA continued, stepping closer. You are going to call the towing company and have every single car returned immediately at HOA expense. You are going to personally issue a statement admitting fault. And then, his eyes narrowed, you're going to prepare for a legal battle. Karen physically trembled. I could tell she wanted to argue. But for the first time in her life, she had no way out. In one morning, she had towed the car of the district attorney, committed multiple legal violations, put the entire HOA under a criminal investigation, and destroyed whatever power she thought she had. And the best part? This was only the beginning. The weight of her mistake was finally sinking in, but Karen wasn't about to go down quietly. Instead of accepting responsibility, she did what she always did, doubled down and made things even worse. By the time David Lawson finished laying out every single law she had broken, Karen's face had gone from smug superiority to barely concealed panic. But rather than admitting defeat, she crossed her arms and tried to play the victim. This is a private community matter, she snapped. We have every right to enforce our parking policies. If people can't follow the rules, that's not my fault. Lawson didn't even blink. You can enforce policies, but you can't break state law in the process. And you definitely can't tow government property. Karen waved a dismissive hand. If that's true, then file a complaint with the HOA. I'll make sure it's reviewed properly. I had to stop myself from laughing. The sheer delusion was astounding. Lawson raised an eyebrow. You think I need to go through the HOA? I don't think you understand how serious this is. You illegally towed my car, a county-owned vehicle. That's felony theft. Karen's smirk faltered. It was not theft. The car was in violation. The car was parked legally in front of my own house, Lawson cut in, his voice dangerously calm. And yet, it was towed. Without warning. Without cause. And without the proper legal authorization. That's not enforcement, that's a crime. At that moment, Karen's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, and I saw her face turn completely white. Without another word, she turned and sprinted toward her house. Lawson and I exchanged a look before following, along with half the neighborhood. As she shoved open her front door and rushed in, the rest of us didn't have to wait long to find out what she was looking at. Seconds later, sirens filled the air. 2 police cruisers rolled up to Karen's house, their lights flashing. Officers stepped out, looking as serious as death. Karen re-emerged onto her porch, her hands shaking. What's the meaning of this? One of the officers approached, glancing at a document in his hand. Are you Karen Davis? She hesitated. I am, but You're under investigation for illegal towing practices, misuse of public property, and fraudulent impound fees, he said flatly. We need to ask you a few questions. Karen staggered back, looking around frantically for someone to save her. But for once, no one came to her defense.